Mishnah number 18, which is Chai, life. We're finishing now the 18th Mishnah of the first Perek of Ethics of the Fathers of Avos. When you end a Perek, it's very, very important to see what the end is. Some say Hakol Holach Acha Gamar. The end, that's the takeaway. We don't walk away from something without taking something with us, something that we could apply. So Reb Shimon Gamliel Omer, Al Shlosha Devarim Ha'olam Oimed. On three principles the world stands. There is a different version here, and some say that you need to change the word from Omed to Kayom. Instead of stands, it exists. It's able to endure. And I'll explain in a second. So what are the three things that are required? One is Al Hadin, which is judgment, Vala Emes and truth, Vala Shalom and peace. Now, what is Din? Justice and judgment. Because when there's justice, there's a true judgment. Justice means that if you have a rich man and a poor man standing in front of you, and the judge's heart tells him, the rich guy's got plenty of money, I'll award the poor man. And he says in his mind that I'm supposed to have mercy on the poor. The Torah tells us no. V'tzdiku es hatzadik, v'yeshiu es harasha. That you cannot ever bend the justice or the din in order to make someone who's in front of you feel good. If the poor man is right, you cannot worry about the retribution of the rich man. If the rich man is right, you cannot award the poor man. You need to do the right thing. If people see that justice is not being rendered, and that the judgments called for by the judges are not truthful, and people lose faith, then you have a kingdom of animals, where everybody does what he wants, it's a free-for-all, and no one could be reined in, because there's no trustworthiness in the justice system. The code of law, and to make sure that it's applied 100% perfectly, is something that helps the world endure. It keeps it functioning. But there can't be no functionality if there's no way for two people to be able to mitigate truthfully with a justice system that has no, in Hebrew you call it negias, is something in it for themselves. And that is the reason why the Torah says, Lo siten ovel b'mishpat. You should not do any crookedness in mishpat. That's the reason why the Torah says a judge is not allowed to take a bribe, not to take shochad. All it is goes into justice. If you bribe a judge, and he may sway the law. So the Torah is full of laws that pertain to this concept that justice should come out properly. A judge can say, okay, I'll take a gift. What's so terrible? Rashi says on this pasuk, Hashochad ya'aver einei chachamim, the shochad, the bribe, blinds the eyes of the wise. V'salev divrei tzadikim, it can make the words of the righteous crooked. Rashi says something phenomenal. It's impossible that if you are sitting in judgment, or you have to pass some kind of regulation, or some kind of conduct, if you got a tip, if you had any interaction with the people who are going to be affected by the judgment that you make, it is impossible that you will not twist the judgment. The moment you have a personal benefit, it's impossible that the judgment will come out clear. The Torah is very, very strict about anybody accepting any kind of gift of any matter. Not only that, But one of the laws are that if a judge happened to hear something about the case prior to both defendants being in front of him, he has to absolve himself from the judgment. He can't be part of it. And I say that when the Torah says, Lositin Ovel B'mishpat, it also goes to us on a personal level. That we ourselves can't sometimes judge truthfully and honestly when we have a personal agenda involved in our decision making. We want to do something. Is it right or is it wrong? Sometimes it's a good idea to ask someone else because I have a personal interest here. I want to go someplace. Maybe it's not correct. Maybe I shouldn't go there. Who says? So I sometimes could pass the wrong judgment. And we as a human being are judging every single day. We're constantly in judgment of ourselves and everything around us. When you are judgmental, you may not have all the facts. When we talk about doing justice, that means we're talking about having the facts. When we are judgmental, that means of someone else, who says you have all the facts? So it's very possible that we don't have the facts, so we're not judging correctly. The Mishnah says, Al todenes chavero, don't judge your friend, achetagia lamkomo, till you are in his shoes. And since you can never be in another person's shoes, because you don't know everything about this person from the day he was born till this moment, and what causes him to do what he does. So if you don't have all the facts, how are you judging? And there's another place where it says, have a dan as kol adam l'kav schus. You're supposed to judge everybody favorably. And dan comes from din. We need to judge people favorably. Why? Because when you talk about judgmentalism, you've got to have the facts. And since you don't have the facts, and you have two choices, should you judge them favorably, unfavorably, you need to judge them favorably. So this concept of din goes to the heart of almost everything we do. And then ala emes, to be truthful. The Gemara says, Mida shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu emes, u'shmo shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu emes. When we finish the Kriya Shema, we say, Hashem Elokeichem emes. Hashem, your God, is emes. Emes means either I can trust you or I can't trust you. Once you violate trust, how am I going to trust you? In the Torah, we are cautioned all over. It says, Medvar sheker tirchok. From a word of sheker, you're supposed to distance yourself. Because sheker is the opposite of emes. Sheker ein le raglaim. A lie has no feet to stand on. Eventually, a lie comes out. Since we are commanded to emulate the ways of Hashem, and since Hashem runs a world that's all based on emes, on truth, so therefore, we also have to conduct our affairs truthful. We need to be truthful to others, and we also need to be truthful to ourselves, not to fool ourselves. It's one thing to be dishonest with somebody else. What about when we fool ourselves and we make up stories to convince ourselves? Is that true? It's not true. It's not simple when we speak to people and we exaggerate. Some people call it a white lie. You see, there's no room between truth and non-truth. Truth means it's 100%. Once it's 99%, it's already not truthful. There's no room in between. It's not like sheker is at 0 and emes is at 100. Emes is a concept which means 100% integrity. It means truthful with ourselves, truthful with the way that we serve Hashem, our commitment to Hashem. Emes has a lot to do with emunah. Is our belief emes? Is our trust emes? Is our service of Hashem emes? Do we have ulterior motives when we serve Hashem? Do we serve Hashem with a complete heart? B'chol levavcha, b'chol nafshecha, b'chol ma'odecha. Or do we just do it partially? If we do it partially, that's already not emes. I remember my Rosh Hashiva of blessed memory, when it came to the holy days, Elul, we say, Ani l'dodi, I am for my dodi, that means I am to God, v'dodi li, and God is to me. He used to say, Ani, my whole Ani, my complete being, my every fiber. I am totally void of myself. I am completely a servant of God. I'm a wholesome servant. I live for Him, for His name, for His sanctification. I live to serve Him. I give Him my entire being, my whole day, my whole effort, my whole focus. That's the work of emes. A hard thing to come by. The start is to know the truth. To know the truth is at least to be able to work towards the truth. And then Val Shalom, and on peace. We know that the world is always at war, always fighting. Peace is one of the greatest gifts. It also says that the name of Hashem is Shalom. The reason you can't say Shalom Aleichem in a bathroom is because you can't say Hashem's name in a bathroom. Shalom is also means shalemus, complete. It also has to do with truthfulness. And that is the biggest blessing that Hashem gave. Is En Kli Machzer Bracha Li Yisrael. The Gemara says there is no vessel that can sustain the Jewish people, Ela HaShalom, only HaShalom. That's why the Pasuk says Hashem owes La'amo Yitain. Hashem gave a certain owes, a certain strength to His nation of Israel. Hashem Yavarech Es Amo. Hashem should bless His people Bashalom with Shalom. When we finish Kaddish, we say Osa Shalom B'mromov. He who did Shalom. Hu Yasa Shalom B'leini should do Shalom on us. The last blessing when we daven Shemona Esrei, Sim Shalom, place Shalom, Tova Vracha. When the priests bless the Jewish people, Yivarecha Hashem Shmerecha, Yah Hashem Panav Alech V'chanega, Yisro Hashem Panav Yosem L'cha, Shalom. Everything is Shalom. Shalom means tranquility. It's very hard to serve Hashem when there is no peace. To serve Hashem, we also have to have inner peace. It's not just that nations aren't fighting. It's not just that people aren't fighting. It also has to do with not fighting within yourself. To have clarity of life. How many people are fighting within themselves? Should I or should I not? Every time we face a decision and we are tempted, for instance, to do a sin, at that moment there is a war. There is a war between the Yetzer HaTov and the Yetzer Hara. They are both fighting. And unless we put our foot down and say to the Yetzer Hara, you will not win, there is no Shalom. It's very, very interesting. You know, in the story in the Torah of Pinchas, when he speared the man and woman that were involved in not appropriate behavior, it says afterwards that Hashem blessed Pinchas. It says, Hinini nosan lo es berisi shalom. Hashem blessed him with shalom. The question is, why did Hashem bless him with shalom? And I was thinking to myself that what was going on in heaven during the time that these two people were sinning? And everybody was standing around and nobody intervened and nobody stood up for the honor of Hashem. There was a war going on at that moment between good and evil, and nobody stood up to intercede against the evil. So there was no shalom. The moment Pinchas put an end to it, and he said, I will not tolerate evil, at that moment he created a peace. The war between good and evil ended. Good victored over evil. Evil did not sustain itself. So Hashem blessed him. Mida keneged mida. Because that's the way Hashem works. Mida keneged mida. Since he behaved himself in a manner of bringing peace to a situation, he was blessed with peace. So we end off over here. Shenema, emes, o mishpat shalom. The words of the prophet Zechariah. Emes, truth, a mishpat shalom. And a peaceful judgment. Shiftu b'sha'areichem. You shall judge in your boundaries amongst your people.